Fantastic. Cheers to you. So, Bill, what a journey you have been on. Tell us about this journey and how you got into the world of athletic brewing.
Yeah, and hopefully that's just getting going. You know, I'm here in the UK just like bursting with energy. I feel like there's like a million things I want to see and talk to people about. Yeah, it really started out of my own lifestyle. I was turning 30. I was on this health, productivity, like pursuit of progress in my own life, call it, where I was taking my career much more seriously. I was about to get married, thinking about myself as a father in the future. And honestly, I was working 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at one of the world's biggest hedge funds. And similar to what Chris Williamson said before, like I was graded on my intellectual outputs every single day. But then I was out at social events and work events 3 or 4 nights a week, 150 days a year, then weddings, barbecues, and all the social stuff I love outside of that. And I was talking to my wife. I was like, I was actually training for my first ultramarathon and decided to take a month off drinking. And I felt great. And I told my wife, I was like, I think I might just stop drinking. Like, I love being out at bars and restaurants, but I don't really feel like I need the alcohol. But then I found myself in all those places, and there was no other side of the menu 10 years ago. There was all the variety in the world, all the culinary pairings on the alcohol side, and absolutely no experience, and it was a total compromise on the other side. And so I was out there at all these events, not drinking for 3 or 4 months, and towards the end of the year, me and my wife were walking to dinner one night, and I said, like, why can't there just be great non-alcoholic beer? Like, I would drink it all the time, all these different occasions. And she'd seen the transformation I was on. She was like, you should do that. And it like caught me totally off guard. I had this job I loved. I didn't even have a LinkedIn profile. Like, I literally never thought of doing anything else. I knew I was going to be there the next 20 years. Had never fashioned myself as an entrepreneur. But in that moment, there was this genuine need in my life, and this intellectual curiosity turned on where I started researching athletic, reading all about brewing. I got every textbook I could get my hands on. I was calling people in Europe. And 2 years later, my wife sat me down at the end of the year and was like, I want you to quit your job. And so that's a long way of saying we've been building from the ground up. We have another amazing co-founder, John Walker, who's our COO and brewmaster. The two of us homebrewed in an empty warehouse for basically a year, doing hundreds of batches, like literally trying to reinvent the way non-alcoholic beer is made. And so our whole company was very brick by brick like that. And yeah, really just, it's been a small build. Like the first thing was we knew we were entering a really highly stigmatized category where product quality had been an afterthought. And we wanted to totally reinvent the product side. And so John, myself, homebrewing, we fixed the product side. And then the marketing side was equally as big a challenge, where we wanted to take something out of the designated driver penalty box and make it aspirational lifestyle and meet the things like why I was looking for it in the first place. Like I wanted to be healthier, I wanted to be better, I wanted to have all the fun without compromising my lifestyle. And so we had to really reinvent where this product sit in the marketplace too. And so that was a very slow build for a while. We started in an 8,000 square foot brewery in Connecticut, literally on Gatorade jugs, then a 3-barrel system, then we put a 20-barrel system in that, and then totally outgrew it. And we've built 4 breweries since then, and so, but yeah, hopefully just getting going.
Well, you sort of alluded to it for a second there, but I want to dive in a little deeper. Like, this is not a new category. It's actually a very old category. I mean, I remember in the 90s watching guys try and suffer through an O'Doul's or choke down a Coors Cutter. Like, you took a category that was, to your point, the designated driver penalty box, or, oh, that guy probably has a problem, to, like, what are you training for? Like, how did you make it cool?
Yeah, and that was exactly the moment I found myself in. When they had something, and I held it in my hand, I got a million questions from colleagues, like, oh, did something happen? Like, what's wrong? Why aren't you drinking?
Are you pregnant?
And, yeah, but like, it just was like 20 questions every time. And I was like, no, I'm waking up at 5 tomorrow. I want to work out, and I want to be sharp when like all the news starts breaking in the financial world. And so it was really hard to start to change those. And yeah, as you said, like non-alcoholic beer had a big history. In the US, it's even worse than over here. It was born in Prohibition in the US. And there was this product, beer and alcohol, that everyone wanted, and instead they got near beer, which was this total sacrifice of a project. and then it basically didn't change for 80 years in marketing or quality. And it like blew my mind when I actually started to look at that. I was like, this category needs to be totally revolutionized for the modern adult lifestyle. And that's like the essence of what we really set out to do, yeah.
Now, you were talking about how you were making phone calls to Europe, and I know in Europe it's a bigger category, it's sort of more dynamic. What are the things that you saw in the European market that said, hey, this is going to work in the US?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the leading proof points that where the category was not so heavily stigmatized, especially on continental Europe. It was a very well-developed, socially accepted alternative. I don't know if like dynamic's definitely the word, but like it was a bigger market and less stigmatized, very importantly, but a very lager-focused market. Actually, the US over the last 7 or 8 years has developed into probably the most dynamic market in the world. There are many more varieties. Almost all the continental and UK brands are in the US on the shelf. But there are upwards of 500 brands in the latest Nielsen cuts, well over 1,200 SKUs. And like you referenced, when we started, it was just like 6 brands in there, yeah. Yeah,
for real, no, that kind of tells you when you're onto something when everybody else sort of wants to jump into it. Yeah. What are yours is a very sort of off-premise business. What are the different challenges with on-premise and how are you making headway on-premise?
Yeah, so when we started in the US, we definitely started with like a kind of a true omni-channel focus, which was like very unique in beer. You know, the phrase in beer is typically you build in the on-premise and then it goes to the off-premise. We actually launched on D2C and then regional off-premise retailers. Whole Foods, for example, in the US was one of the early retailers to really lean into athletic. And so those trials went really well. But we were launching on our e-commerce site in the US. This was a category that only had lagers before we got in there. And from day one, we were launching IPAs, golden ales, and then every Monday we were releasing a new style of beer. Like John, our other co-founder, is incredibly talented. And I would just spit out ideas and be like, do you think we could make a stout or like a goes and like on and on. And he'd try it out in our 3-barrel system and we'd have 100 cases of something. And then we started launching these every Monday. And so beer had never, in the US we have the 3-tier system. So you couldn't do D2C previously. And so this was one of the first beverage companies, period, to be really widely available on D2C in the US. And it introduced variety the category had never had, and built this great community around the brand too. And so we had like a national seeding, even though we only had regional retail distribution. And then, you know, I also knew no one in the US was walking up to the retail shelf, or to the non-alcoholic beer shelf. Like nothing had changed there in 30 plus years. And people had gotten sick of looking and waiting for it to change. So I had to go out into the world, recruit customers and get them to walk into the shelf. And so I was out there in our whole range of business, handing out thousands of cans every weekend at race finish lines or anywhere where I could find happy, receptive people to try a beer. That was a very wide range of sampling opportunities, all non-traditional. But that started to get the foot traffic into stores. And all of a sudden, these retail placements that were very light to start just started to absolutely explode as people realized there was something new in the category. And so we built that off-premise presence first. On-premise is very hand-to-hand visiting. In the US, well, in the UK, as you know, it's very centralized and mostly chains in the on-premise. In the US, it's almost all independent. So it is literally door to door, and you have to open that account and have a distributor. And so that took us a while to build. But at this point in the US, Athletic is 1 out of every 3 beers served in the on-premise nationally, and 4 out of every 5 non-alcoholic craft beers served in the on-premise is Athletic.
Yeah, no, the on-premise is rough. Like, I don't know if you're fighting for tap handles, but it's a blood sport.
Well, in the US right now, we are one of the only ones with like a broadly distributed tap program, so that is increasing exponentially. We're probably shipping over 2,500 kegs a month now.
Wow.
And it's really still in pilot status almost. In the UK, we are starting to break through more and more with draft lines. We have an incredible team here in the UK that's doing a lot of the grassroots building that I was really doing in the US from day one. I know because I've tried to do it in the UK, like standing outside of Tesco, handing out samples and trying to get people to buy the product. We're definitely at day 2 in the UK right now, and our team's done a great job. I think we're in about 2,000 accounts, over 700 on-premise.
Wow.
And the tap placements are really starting to accelerate and resonate as people realize how good and how wide the offering can be.
So going back to your weekly launches, like limited time offer, LTOs, you guys were legendary for your LTOs. Like Danny and I had a little tomato juice company, and you were kind enough to do an LTO with us. We did a chelada with you. When you're launching one every Monday, though, they can't all be rad. So Danny and I have a podcast called Poor Decisions. What was the LTO that just whiffed, where you looked at your partner like, well, they didn't like that?
Well, in terms of whiffing with the team, when we did that chelada collaboration, the first run, we put it through our tunnel pasteurizer, which, you know, it's finished product going through to gently pasteurize and like go for food safety.
Nobody wanted tomato soup?
And they all started just like, it sounded like gunshots. They were just exploding in the pasteurizer. And so our team had to turn off the machine and like clean it all on our backs. And yeah, it was quite a day.
I'm glad no one called me about that one.
But we had, I mean, all sorts of other stuff.
I mean, anything was just too weird.
Yeah. I mean, John was incredible. I was sampling a lot of farmers markets, and I would come back with these ingredients, like dozens of pounds of like organic raspberries and stuff. And I would just wheel these in to the brewery, and John would use them literally in either a 3-barrel or a 20-barrel system. And but that mindset has stayed throughout the company. We still have both the 3 and the 7-barrel system. And then we have 50-barrel systems where we do slightly bigger limited releases. But we still launch about 50 beers a year in the US on our website, and we are trying to bring that variety to the UK. We don't have widely available D2C here yet, so it's mostly our most highly awarded, most popular beers on the shelf right now. So, yeah.
So as you come to Europe from the US, it opens up a whole new range of marketing opportunities. I was looking at your partnership with Arsenal FC. Tell us how that came to be.
Yeah.
And then we got a video we'll play after.
Very cool. Yeah, so when we first came to Europe, we were getting these pockets of demand from all over Europe, and as a stupid US person, I was like, oh, Europe is like one continental trading bloc. I was like, let's launch Europe. And so we launched very lightly the UK and tried to launch France and Spain all at the same time with an extremely lean team who all hung with us and did a great job learning all the lessons together. And we very quickly realized that how fragmented continental Europe is. Like in some countries alone, you need over 100 distributors to hit those countries and get decent distribution. And then the complexities of importing and getting it there from a US supply chain. So we very quickly consolidated that into just focusing on the UK. That was where really a lot of consumer demand was pulling us, and particularly at Arsenal fans. We were getting a lot of DMs and stuff asking people to upgrade the options at stadiums and venues and things like that in the UK. And we found a willing counterparty in Arsenal who wanted to really have a next wave of beverages and a partner who wanted to lean into this new category. And so from year one, when we were starting to be served at Emirates, the non-alcoholic beer sales have over doubled since what was available previously, and I think it's up over 100% again this year. So, but we have both of these beers on draft throughout Emirates and a number of UK venues as well.
That's great. Must have more well-behaved fans.
Yeah, well, it is a big opportunity. Is like a lot of the games are during the daytime and during weeknights and stuff, and those are in the US. We sell an enormous amount of volume at sports and concerts and stuff during the week. We did a partnership with Live Nation in the US last year, and we're in over 100 music venues with them. And the weekday sales particularly are so high at all these venues that a lot of Premier League games are during the week as well. So, yeah.
All right. Can we play the Arsenal video?
For sure. So I think this is actually going to be our manufacturing facility.
Back-breaking, mind-blowing.
These are
These are
all athletic teammates talking.
It's pretty mind-boggling how far athletic has come. The growth has been exponential.
As I reflect on where we started and where we've come from, we started in an 8,000 square foot, 5,000 barrel brewery in Connecticut. We thought that was a huge investment. And talking to you now from a 750,000 barrel brewery, it's about 150 times the size of that original Connecticut brewery.
Every year we added more and more tanks, and no matter what we did, it was never enough.
We've been fighting capacity constraints for, well, forever.
It's a lot of stainless steel, it's a lot of pumps, a lot of valves. We're moving into the next tier of manufacturing.
Progress at Athletic means continuing to put out new and innovative products.
I see it as a stepping stone. I think this brand can grow into something amazing.
It's astonishing, and it truly takes the entire team. It takes everybody here to have a good commission. So I just see teamwork, and I'm really proud of our team.
Finally made it through. We finally did the push. We were done with the build. Can step back and take a breath. It's going to be nice.
So the guy talking at the end was, he was our first West Coast hire at Athletic, but has helped build 3 breweries since then. We made a choice at Athletic from, a lot of CPG is contract manufactured and outsource the product.
Yeah, no, that's a
product.
massive
And,
capital investment. Like brands like Body Armor and Vitamin Water, they got to billions of dollars in exit with never owning a manufacturing capability.
And we kind of took the other approach at Athletic was we saw how hard it was to get to our like prototype product, what you will, with like brewing on Gatorade jugs. And we made the very pivotal decision at that point to insource all our manufacturing, to build it all ourselves, have full-time teammates at Athletic do all the brewing, all the quality, all the labs, all the innovation, and then all the way out into the world till selling at the end customers, all Athletic teammates. And I think that's been a big differentiator. And it's, a lot of companies raise a lot of growth capital and throw it into sales and marketing. We've put well over $100 million, probably over $150 million into our manufacturing. We've built 4 plants now.
Well, that creates a legit balance sheet that most beverage companies don't have.
Yeah, and so most of our capital raising has gone into hard assets and building that foundation, and our great team of Athletic employees, all of which are equity owners in the company as well. So we're really trying to build something foundational for the long haul. And in the manufacturing too, it's, in terms of scaling, in the years where we were growing like 200%, we had this brewery that we thought would last 5 years, and we outgrew it in 10 months. And then we bought a brewery in San Diego that we had to like kind of Frankenstein to get to our next scale. But we thought it was huge, and then we outgrew that in a year. And I basically gave John a volume forecast that December for the upcoming year that was like quadruple the size of the capacity we had. And so him and the team tripled the size of that brewery, and we've gotten better at scaling manufacturing ahead of it, but scaling manufacturing has definitely been one of the biggest challenges we've had. Yeah.
And your European product then, is it imported, or do you use contract manufacturing on the continent?
So far, it's all exported from the US, yeah. And so we have a longer supply chain, but our beer is super fresh, and it has good turnover on store shelves. We're just getting the placements where, someone before referenced how centralized the UK market is relative to the US. In the US, as you know, it's so much easier to get like a regional trial with a retailer. Like Whole Foods was great to give us 7 stores to start. And like Sprouts and other great retailers all around the country are so great at working with brands that are just upcoming. In the UK, we've had trouble getting to relevant London retailers. And so Tesco's been a great partner building with us for a few years. We recently just got into M&S stores. And so our volume has started to go exponential in the UK. I think we're up like 76% year over year in same store sales. And then, so we're really excited. In the US, our dominant channels like natural channel grocery, and we're not in those grocers yet in London. So once we make that breakthrough, I think that'll be the really big step probably in the UK market.
Yeah, how does that affect your swagger? Because in the US, you've got massive unaided awareness, you've got great household penetration. You kind of start at square one in a new market. Like, what does that do to your head?
Yeah, and we are kind of building it backwards in the UK. It has been really tough to break into those London natural channel grocers. And I think we're close to that. But in the US, we have like 40% share of non-alcoholic beer in those stores. And those stores are growing their beer category exponentially. So it's a tough miss that we're not in those yet, but we're really optimistic for those breakthroughs, especially as we have the really big awareness and resonance with like the Arsenal fan base and the London population. So, and in the on-premise too, I think we're nearing 1,000 placements in the on-premise. Like those velocities have been good. So, but it's, we at Athletic, like in the US and everywhere we go, we start really humbly. We really invest in the markets we do business through our Two for the Trails program, hiring full-time teammates, and even in the UK and Canada with all the geopolitical tensions this year, like we're investing so authentically in all the places we do business. I think we've been able to move right through that and like really resonate with the community. So.
Well, you've sort of sprinted to that point where a lot of founders are like, whew, I did it. Where's the exit? Like, do you think about becoming a public company, merging with a strategic, staying the course?
I mean, catch me on the right day. I get very excited about being a public company. We get a lot of inbounds from investors who, retail investors who are just really passionate about the product, who would love to be owners of the company, and that gets me really excited. And we have really big ambition. From day one, we've fashioned Athletic as a global brand. A lot of craft brewers, when they launch, will tie themselves to like a local geography or something. Like we've very intentionally tried to be a global aspirational concept, have our marketing messages have like broad appeal. And so we do have global ambition. And to answer your question on capital structure, I don't think a ton about capital structure, honestly. I think mostly about...
Crazy for a guy that's invested as much capital as you have.
We have incredible investors, and really long time horizon investors and great teammates at Athletic. And so I spend the most time thinking about our people at Athletic, the future of our company, the future of the category. And we want to be the company leading that from the front. Otherwise, I'm worried it won't really play out like it should.
So that's interesting with the future of the category, because I look at the category in a lot of ways as like, well, that's the category that Bill built. Like took it out of the waste bin and kind of made it something shiny and special. Where do you see the future of the category?
Yeah, there were and still are a lot of like pure sobriety or penalty box messaging around the category, and I think that may be why some products do or do not resonate. We've always been trying to make the category for everyone, aspirational, health-oriented, like a true health and wellness product that fits in the life of anyone. And we don't disparage if people are drinking or not. Like we just want to have a great moderate option for when they want it. For the future of the category, non-alcoholic beer in the US has gone from 0.3 to 2% of beer pretty quickly. In some retailers in the US, it is passing 20% of all beer sales, and that is within a growing beer category in those stores. I think one of the most exciting things is most Bev-Alc innovation for the last 50 years has been a one-for-one substitution for something that already exists. So say there's a new whiskey, maybe like a vodka drinker goes to the whiskey, or hard seltzer likely took from light beer. What we're doing is, and we have a lot of great data around this, is we're adding just a ton of drinking occasions to the week and the new populations to the drinking pool. In data we have over 20% of Athletic buyers are new to beer category in any given year, which is like our retailers and distributors love that. It's like our out-of-home messaging bringing people to the shelf. And then also we have like AI fridge data, which shows that people are grabbing Athletic beers on every day of the week in huge amounts. So it's not something they only go for on Friday. It's bringing beer to the whole week. And so it's a long way of saying, I won't say in my head where my delusional projection for the category is. I think non-alcoholic beer, or call it non-alcoholic analogs and then non-alcoholic functional analogs, like a lot of the other founders you had up here 2 panels ago, I think will grow a very significant part of the adult beverage pie in the future, and then non-alcoholic beer will be a significant percentage of that to some degree. I don't know exactly what the split is, but I think it's very healthy double digits of the adult beverage category.
So my last question is, you are a guy who, from my lens, kind of started a category, and then we started our conversation, you were telling me, yeah, I think there's 500 or 600 other guys trying. Like, how do you maintain your profit margin and your pricing when you've got so many competitors crowding in to try and get a piece of your pie?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we like to sell a very premium product, which is evidenced by we're on over 20% of the Michelin star menus in the US. So we're the go-to non-alcoholic beer of chefs, basically. But we try to sell it at a very approachable price point so that anyone of any income can drink it all week and feel good about it and not ruin the household budget. And so that's a tough balance, but with us building our own manufacturing, we've been able to pass that premiumization on to our customers in a lot of ways. And we're also not a public company, we're really long-term focused. And so, yeah, really just trying to pass a lot of value on to our retailers and our customers.
Well, this has been great. Don't tell the guys in the last panel, but I quit drinking 16 years ago, and I've completely enjoying a beer with you for the last half an hour. So cheers to that. Thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing your journey with us. I really appreciate it, Bill.
Oh, no, thank you guys for all your help. It's so exciting to be here in the UK with you. Long way from Manhattan Beach.
Thanks, Bill.